Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I review the wines, I grade them, and then it's up to you. I review, then it's up to you. It's your palate. You decide whether or not you want to blow your wine dollars on that bottle of wine. Hopefully I'm helping you. Blue Friday, the Hawks play Arizona, and this is a big game. Arizona leads the division. Seahawks are in the front of the wild card spot. If they beat Arizona, they will beat Arizona on Sunday night, and when they do that, they will take over the division. They have the tiebreaker. They beat Arizona in Seattle. I was at that game. It's a great game, and they win this game on Sunday. They're in the front of their division. All they have to do is take care of St. Louis, which is the game I'm most worried about. St. Louis Rams are a very good team that just have had some really bad luck this season. Although they beat the Seahawks down in St. Louis, Seahawks should have won that game. The refs didn't call a fumble. That was obvious. They have this stupid rule now. They don't automatically review under 2 minutes. It was a fumble. It was so obvious. Seahawks would have won that game easily. They would be leading the division right now. Yeah, that's the way it is. You know, the Zebras, sometimes the Zebras do have something to do with the outcome of a game. Not that they do it on purpose, I'm not saying that. I have my little Maker's Mark bottle that I bought. Now, the cool thing about this one, I love Maker's Mark, just to let you know. See the cap on this? It's the green and blue cap, the Seahawks colors. They did that right after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I got my hands on a bottle, and I'm going to hold on to it until the Seahawks make it back to the Super Bowl. Hard for me to do. I love that bourbon. We're going to review 3 wines. This is episode 150. I just thought about, am I going to do anything for 150? No, I'm going to wait for 200. I think those 100 marks are big. I'm still working on my viewership. 2015, my goal, my New Year's resolution for 2015 is to get viewership up. I want it big. I want to go with this. I need to work on an introduction. I need to work on getting my videos out on my blog. I got a lot of work to do, a lot of hustle, and I got it in me. I do. I have it in me, and I'm going to succeed in getting my viewership up, and I do depend on you that are watching. I do appreciate those who are viewing my videos, those who are trying to catch up. I notice some of the ones on the bottom are, getting more and more viewers as my friends and people in my wine club are watching the videos from the bottom up. You can watch the new ones too. I'd like to see a big hit on those. I'd like to see more comments. I've got a few comments, not a lot comments. I'll tell you what about comments. The reason they're cool is people look at that, they see, oh, there's 3 or 4 comments. It just shows that you're watching. If you're having difficulty making a comment, come to me. I'll help you to figure out how to get those comments up there. I know a couple of you have said that you have trouble with that. Just a little side point. I thought this is a humorous little anecdote, okay? I just watched the news this morning. They said, just to let you know, because of budget cutbacks, the IRS may get your tax return to you later than expected, and you may not talk to anybody on the phone, a real person. Really? How long have they been doing budget cutbacks? Must be for the last 15 years. I've tried many times to get a real person in the IRS. Doesn't happen. I think there's a lot of excessive employment in that department. Kudos to the government for cutting them back, and they're just making excuses. Like, oh yeah, okay, come on. Our tax returns never come when we want them to. We never can get a hold of anybody on the IRS. Really, is that news? That just cracks me up. Okay, we're going to go to Domaine Pouillon out of Lyle, Washington. If you don't know where Lyle is, it's on the Columbia Gorge, closer to Oregon. And this is called the Dew 2012 Deuce, 2. And kudos to Domaine Pouillon. One of my pet peeves is that the wineries do not put the blend on their labels, and they do right on the front. 50% Chardonnay, 50% Viognier, Columbia Valley. Here's their label. This one rolls in at $14. I wrote it down there somewhere. $14. So this is one of their least expensive, or what they call their introductory level white. They do whites and reds. We're just going to do reds on this episode. Next episode we're going to look at their, whites on this episode. Next episode we're going to look at their reds. Alright, I'm just checking out. I thought I wrote, there we go. Yes, $14. I just put it on the side a little bit, maybe right on the front, which you're trying to avoid. Okay, let's get started. I checked out their website. It's pretty cool, although I will say one thing to you guys. Pouillon. They say they're biodynamic, which is great. I know that's a big trend now, and it's really a good thing. Some are more religious about it than others. Not everybody's like Randall Graham, who gets really, really into biodynamic farming. But it's good for the earth. I really am. I like biodynamic. They do a lot of moon cycle stuff. It's really cool. I like it. Then they put on their website, we do use no artificial, I wrote it down here, we're artisanal winemaking, great for you. No artificial stabilizing, clarifying, or acidification or chapelization. That's great that you put that down there. A lot of us readers don't understand what that is. Maybe you're going to take the time to look that up. But, a lot of wineries don't do that. But they don't, they don't. And there's some wineries that do, and some wineries feel they have to do that if they want a product that they're going to get out on the market that will sell. Because guess what? Bottom line. And those things are not necessarily bad. Sometimes, the fruit doesn't have the acid they want. They can't acidify, which means they put a natural acid back into the wine to get it up to where they want to go. There's a big debate about that. I'm kind of in the middle on that. I think it's good if you don't. If you have to, I understand. We all need to make money, right? And so they do what they have to do. Just like a chef might season their meat in such a way to make it more palatable. Maybe it didn't come out right, they add some more seasonings. We do not put down chefs for using seasonings. Maybe there are some out there that do, I don't know. What we like is when we go to a restaurant, we get a good piece of, we get a good meal because they've done those things to it. Some wineries decide to use certain elements in winemaking. So, I appreciate that on the website, but, don't get so specific. I'm just saying. Because it's not a bad thing in a lot of people's minds. I know some people are against those things, some people aren't. I'm right in the middle. I think, you do have to look at the bottom line. But anyway, they don't do any of that. They stick to their guns as far as, pure winemaking. In other words, grape to bottle. They don't manipulate. That's really a word they use. They don't manipulate with other things. Although it doesn't say they use indigenous yeast, so I don't know, do they inoculate with other yeast? I don't know. I didn't do a deeper research on that. That's a tough one. Because a lot of times if you use indigenous yeast, which means you don't add any other yeast to your wine to kick it up, to get the fermentation going, they'll use just the yeast that's on the grape skins. That, for a lot of wineries that are smaller, that's a tough thing. Because what if the yeast doesn't kick off? What if there's not enough yeast? So some wineries try really hard to use natural yeast from the vineyard. They get that together so that when they do have to inoculate or put that yeast in there to kick up the fermentation, it's the yeast that's from that area. Other wineries decide to use certain types of yeast to give it a certain flavor profile. They'll use the Dijon clone from Burgundy to give their Chardonnays a certain flavor. Just like a chef might decide to use certain spices, wineries decide to use certain yeast to give certain flavors. I'm totally neutral on that. I think it's okay. I understand why wineries might not like that, but it's yeast, and it's not like poisonous yeast. It's real stuff that they put in their wines. Just saying it from the heart, baby. So let's see what we get on the nose. Again, if you haven't forgot, I went on a little rant there. 50% Chardonnay, 50% Viognier. Viognier is actually taking a real strong foothold in my department. So on the nose, you get a little apples and pears. A little bit of perfume coming out. Perfume meaning the aromas are kicked up just a little bit. Interesting baking spices coming through. I can't really put my finger on it, like a little bit of nutmeg and maybe some Yeah, mostly in the nutmeg arena. Very nice. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very creamy. Very creamy. Nice little, I get like just a hair of honey, like, you know, just honey. Like, you know, put in your coffee or on your toast. That's coming through, almost like a beeswax honey coming through on there. I really like it. I get the apples and the pears, but nothing, it's like kind of all blended together. There's a lot of white flowers in there. It's like there's nothing like distinctly coming out. Like there's not distinctly pears, there's not distinctly apples. It's just kind of a blend of all those things with the white flowers and that beeswax honey. Really like that. And the creamy mouthfeel. A lot of you guys are going to like this. A little, just a trace of lemon on the back end, and it gets toasty on the finish, which is quite interesting. I like that kind of almost a toastiness on the end of that wine. Nice finish. This is going to be a nice wine for those who do not like Chardonnay itself, but want something a little bit different. And this is not Chardonnay. You can taste some of the Chardonnay elements in it, but the Viognier really kicks it up with the flowers. I get a little bit of almost a mango element coming through and a papaya element coming through on there. But again, nothing super distinct as far as flavors, just they're all together, kind of a melody of flavors all on the palate at once. Very creamy. Now these are not at room temperature, they're just cooler than room temperature. If you want to dry it up a little bit, get it a little bit colder, that'll do it. Normally I do review the wines a little cooler, but I had these sitting on the table a little longer than I wanted, but that's okay. That's okay. They're still drinking really good. They still, I'm sure they're true to the flavor profile the winemaker is looking for. So Domaine Pouillon Blanc de Moulin, I hate these French, Moulin, 2012. This is Rousson from Coyote Canyon Vineyard, Horse Heaven Hills, Washington. And this rolls in at $28. Huge Rousson fan. I'm a huge Rousson fan. I love the grape. And for those of you looking for an alternative white, if you have not tried Rousson yet, you might decide to go there, give it a try. You don't necessarily have to spend $28 to try one. There's some good ones out there. A lot of them, I'm not going to name off a bunch of them. A really good entry-level Rousson is from Writer's Block out of Lake County, California. They do a nice job with their Rousson. It rolls in about 15 bucks. This is $28. Let's see what we give it on the nose. I get a little bit of peaches. Interesting, a little challenged on the nose, which I find very curious. There's just a tiny bit of stink, which I like. I mean, it's not stinky, poop stinky. It's just there's a little stink element coming through. A little dust. Can we get that beeswax component coming through? Maybe that's one of their trademarks. Ooh, got a little hit of cinnamon and nutmeg on the back end. I really had to take a big whiff for that. Yeah, it's obviously there. A little like just that cinnamon powder and nutmeg coming through. Very curious about this wine. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very interesting flavor profile. Oh, by the way, the dew, I am going B plus on the dew. Forgot to grade it. This one is very interesting. It's like lime meets peaches meets mangoes. The lime element, very strong. It's a very curious combination of flavors. It's bright, but it wants to be tropical at the same time. Not what I normally get out of Roussan when I go for it to purchase. It's like the citrus notes are battling with the mango peaches. It's almost contradictory. If you focus on the citrus notes, I think you'll be happier with this wine. Ignore those other elements that are trying to come through. I can't ignore those. It's really not what I expect from Roussan. It's almost like green on the back end. Not terribly. I'm not liking this wine. It's kind of weird on the palate. I mean, there's nothing funky. It's well made. Don't get me wrong. It's a well made wine. I'm just not sure what they're trying to attain with this one. It's not a Roussan that I normally experience. Roussan tends to have a little bit more fleshiness to it. This is very much the citrus side, even going towards green, like a little blackberry twigs sort of thing going on. I'm going to go C+ on this. Maybe C+. I'm not excited about that one. Let's move on to the next one. I'd go C-, except I think if you're looking for sort of a citrusy wine, yeah, it might hit the spot, but not for 28 bucks, my friend. I'm going to go C-. I just talked myself into it. Okay, on to the next one. Domaine Pouillon Savoir-Faire. Savoir-Faire is everywhere. Remember that cartoon? 2012. And again, once again, kudos to them for putting the blend on the front. 40% Grenache Blanc, 30% Marsanne, 29% Pipoul Blanc. So this is very much a Rhone style blend, obviously. Boucher Vineyards, Dick Boucher has some very sought after fruit. Yakima Valley appellation, and this rolls in at $30. So they're not shy about the pricing, which is okay, except for that Roussan. Don't waste your money, in my opinion, on that baby. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what we get on the nose. Says right off the bat I get banana. Banana, melon, and this really cool kind of spicy perfume, like a spiced soap. This by far out of all of them has some best aromatics. I get some dried herbs coming through, maybe some marjoram and rosemary coming through on this one. Then it goes to a little bit like tomato skin coming through. I love smelling wine. I love getting all these things out of it. But let's see what we get on the palate. Again, going back to the creamy element on the palate, a little bit of citrus coming through. This has a much better balance than the Blanc du Moulin. If I'm saying that even right. Good acidity, fresh, but yet at the same time has a nice roundness to it. I get mangoes, peaches, papaya, definitely coming through on this one. Now, I'll just be, admittedly, I'm not a huge Grenache Blanc fan, but this one's, because he's added some of those other things, really fleshes it out nicely. I think Grenache Blanc can be kind of boring. A lot of melon, white flowers coming through on the back end. I get like a honeydew melon, a cassava, something like that coming through. A little toastiness on the back side, which is interesting. The citrus notes are strong, but they're well combined with the mango, papaya, sort of banana, cassava melon thing coming through. It's a well-made wine, good balance. What I like about this wine is you could have it with roasted chicken. It has enough rounded for that, but you could also have it with the mussels, with oysters, those types of things. You could have it with shrimp. It would be really good with all those things. This is a very diverse white, and the flavors are good. It's well built. I like it a lot. I'm going to go A- on this one. I think the dew is a great value at B+, A-. Just the diversity of this white is really nice, and man, it just keeps lingering on. The citrus, the melon, all of that, the white flowers, everything's coming through. I'm even getting a little touch of spice. Can't put a finger on what spice it is, but it has that nice baking spice element coming through. Nice wine, A-. All right, there you go, episode 150 under the belt. I said Blue Friday. I'm not gonna actually put this out until, well, I could put it out on Saturday. I haven't put a video out on Saturday. I actually forgot to I thought I came and published my video that I did yesterday on Thursday. I thought I published it yesterday, but then I looked and I didn't. My grandson came over. We were having a good time with him, and I just missed that. So that's going up today, Friday. This one I might put up Sunday. I'll put this one up Sunday, so don't get confused by the Blue Friday jersey that I'm wearing on Friday. I'm going to put this up on Sunday, just telling you how it is, and then I'll review the reds and put those up on Monday. How's that? Thanks for watching, and remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. And be true to your palate. Drink and enjoy your wine. Understand what you like. Don't let anybody else tell you what you should like. And together, if we do that together, we can keep the snob out of wine.